welcome to another Simon Says Stamp video. Today I'm going to be doing sort of what I call a pattern paper stash buster card, and that's because in the crafting world, when you have a stash buster quilt, that means you use just a bunch of fabrics from your stash, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a particular pattern. You're just doing it to get rid of a lot of your stash and to use it up. So I'm doing that with some pattern paper here, and it actually doesn't use that much pattern paper, but cards are small, so stash buster is a very, you know, subjective term. Anyway, so the pattern paper I'm using is from this 6x6 pad from My Mind's Eye. This is the Vanity Fair 6x6 pad, and I've chosen some of the patterns that are smaller patterns so that they'll read a little bit better. I didn't want to use any of the larger patterns like the butterflies because I did only cut out 1 by 1 inch squares, and I didn't want to have to worry about making sure the butterfly was always in the center. So these are the pieces that I cut out, and before I actually deal with them, I'm going to stamp my sentiment because I'm going to be stamping in some pigment ink. Pigment ink takes a longer time to dry, and so you want to be patient with it and let it sit and dry completely before you're handling it on your card. You can hit it with a heat gun or with a heat tool to speed up the drying process, but sometimes that warps the paper, so just to avoid that, I'm going to stamp it first. The stamp set I'm using is this one by Hero Arts. I'm going to use this XOXO down here at the bottom, sort of in the center. And then set that aside to dry. At this point, since it's still wet, if I wanted to do embossing powder on top, I definitely could. In fact, I'm sort of tempted. I think I will. I'm just going to put some white embossing powder on top because it's not quite as bright white as I had hoped. Pigment inks do work with embossing powders because they are so wet. Okay, so that'll just keep it a little more bright white. I'm going to set that aside, and here's the card front. Now these little 1 by 1 squares, this is my plan. I'm going to be taking my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. This is the 1/8 and 3/8 version of the corner chomper. The original has different measurements, but this is the other one. And I'm going to be taking my little 1-inch squares, and I'm going to be doing a couple different things. Okay, so you can punch one side. That's one option. You can punch both sides. That's the other option. So I'm going to do some that have both corners punches and some that just have one. Okay, so I have a bunch of these punched out, and now what I'm going to do is start arranging them on the card. This is how I'm going to work it. I'll go ahead and use my T-square ruler. That's going to make it so it's easier to adhere these down at the bottom. It's perfectly straight. And I'll go ahead and just start adhering these. I'm going to run them through my Xyron Mega Runner. These are small enough pieces that it'll be super easy. Alright, and now I'm just going to keep going down. I'm going to reserve a spot, one of the rows, for this to take up the 3 on this end for the sentiment. So I'm just going to keep adhering these down. Okay, so I got everything adhered down. It was time consuming, but I think it's still worth it. So I'm just going to take a white gel pen along this bottom edge just because there's a little more space at the bottom than anywhere else. So I'm just going to do a little dashed line. Alright, and then I'm also going to do a dashed line on these 2 edges on the sentiment. Alright, and there's the card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.